Most people don't fear death. They fear being fully alive, because a fully lived life demands choices, and choices demand responsibility. So we learn a quieter skill. We stay busy, we stay acceptable, and we call it living. But if you strip away the calendars, the notifications, the polite laughter, and the performance of being fine, a harder question remains. Are you living or just existing? Here is the promise I want to make to you in the next few minutes. You will leave with a clearer way to tell the difference, and with a set of practical Stoic tools to cross that line, without drama, without fantasies of a perfect life, and without waiting for confidence to arrive. Not a new personality, not a grand reinvention, just a steadier inner posture. More freedom where you thought you had none, more peace where you assumed peace required easier circumstances. The first hard truth is this: existing is effortless, because it asks nothing of your character. You can exist while avoiding discomfort, while deferring your real decisions, while repeating the same week with minor variations and calling it routine. And the world will reward you for it. You will look stable. You will appear responsible. You will even feel safe. But safety is not the same as peace. Peace is an inner agreement with reality. Safety is often a contract with illusion. The Stoics were not romantic about life. They did not promise that things would go your way. They promised something more demanding and more useful, that you can train the part of you that meets what happens. That training begins with a simple division: what is up to you and what is not. When you confuse the two, you spend your life negotiating with the uncontrollable. Other people's moods, the past, the future, the economy, your reputation, your body's aging. When you see the division clearly, you stop begging reality to behave, and you start behaving on purpose. Think about a modern morning. You wake up, reach for your phone, and absorb 100 small signals telling you who you should be. Someone is richer, calmer, fitter, more admired. Within minutes, you are already behind in a race you never agreed to run. Then you call the feeling anxiety, as if it were weather, as if it arrived from nowhere. But here is the conceptual shift. Anxiety often isn't a mysterious force. It is the mind's alarm that you have handed your attention to what you cannot control. The alarm is unpleasant, but it is also informative. It is telling you that your inner authority has been outsourced. The next hard truth is uncomfortable for a different reason. You can spend years preparing to live and never begin. Preparation is socially approved avoidance. We tell ourselves we'll start when the timing is right, when we know more, when we feel ready, when we have healed enough, when we are less tired, when we are finally confident. But a life built on waiting becomes a life shaped by fear. Yet fear is not proof that something is wrong. Fear is proof that something matters. The reversal is this: fear does not mean stop. Fear often means this is the edge of your present self. The Stoics would not ask you to erase fear. They would ask you to stop obeying it. Courage, in their sense, is not bravado. It is clarity under pressure. It is the decision to do what reason and values require, even while the body protests. You can see this in something as ordinary as a difficult conversation. You know the one. You have rehearsed it silently for weeks. Setting a boundary with a family member. Telling a partner what you truly need. Admitting to a friend that something hurt you. Asking for feedback at work, or saying no without a long apology. Existing prefers the comfort of silence. Living accepts the cost of honesty. And the cost is real. Your voice may shake, your heart may race, and you may not be liked for it. But afterwards, something changes. The air becomes cleaner. You are no longer split into a public self and a private self. You begin to respect your own presence. Another hard truth: pain will visit your life whether you live or merely exist. The difference is what you do with it. Many people treat pain as an argument against life. If it hurts, it must be wrong. But the Stoic mind learns to treat pain as a fact, not a verdict. Some pain is a signal to act. Some pain is a signal to endure. And some pain, quietly, persistently, is a signal that you are living beneath your own standards. The deeper reflection is that suffering multiplies when we add a second layer to it. The story that it should not be happening, that it proves we are cursed, that it means we are failing, that it must be someone's fault. The reversal here is simple but profound. Life is not asking to be fair before you can be free. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to choose your response within difficulty. That is why inner freedom can exist in a small apartment, in an imperfect body, in an uncertain season. And that is also why inner captivity can exist in comfort, in status, in constant entertainment. Look at the way people handle failure today. A plan collapses, a relationship ends, a job offer doesn't come, a creative project is ignored. Immediately, the mind rushes to protect the ego. It blames, it retreats, it becomes cynical. It says, "I knew it wouldn't work." Existing loves cynicism because cynicism heals like wisdom without the risk of hope. But living asks a sharper question. What did this reveal about my judgment, my preparation, my attachment, my courage? Failure becomes instruction rather than identity, not because it feels good, but because it is useful. If this is resonating and you want more reflections like this, calm, practical, and honest, take a moment to subscribe. And in the comments, don't just write that you agree. Write one place in your life where you suspect you've been existing instead of living. Naming it is often the first act of strength. And now we go deeper, because the most difficult territory is not the dramatic moment, but the ordinary day. The hard truth of the second half is this: most people don't lose their lives in a tragedy, they lose them in a haze. Not because they are lazy, but because they are unawake. They become experts at tolerating what they secretly resent. They adjust to the wrong life the way the eyes adjust to darkness. Eventually, the darkness feels normal. The deeper reflection is that meaning rarely arrives as a thunderbolt. Meaning is usually built through alignment. The alignment between what you claim to value and what you repeatedly do. This is where Stoicism becomes less like philosophy and more like craftsmanship. You are shaping a self. Every day you practice something. The reversal is that your life is not primarily shaped by your goals. It is shaped by your standards. Goals can be postponed. Standards are lived today. Consider a practical example: your attention. You may say you value peace, but your attention is trained on conflict, arguments online, outrage, comparison, the endless evaluation of other people's lives. You may say you value depth, but your day is designed for fragmentation. 10 tabs open, constant switching, a mind never allowed to settle. If you want to know whether you are living or existing, watch where your attention goes when no one is watching. Attention is the real biography. Another hard truth: you cannot build an inner life on outer approval. Approval is a moving target. Even when you catch it, it does not stay caught. And the cost of chasing it is subtle. You begin to perform your own life. You choose what looks good over what is good. You edit yourself in real time. You become skilled at appearing confident while avoiding the very actions that would make you confident. A deeper reflection. The Stoics warned against becoming a stranger to yourself. They did not mean isolation or self-absorption. They meant integrity, the ability to stand in your own presence without flinching. The reversal is this: self-respect is not a mood you wait for. It is a consequence you earn. You earn it through small, unglamorous acts, keeping promises you make to yourself, telling the truth cleanly, doing the next right thing when you could easily drift. Think of something as common as your body. Some people treat the body only as an ornament, something to display or apologize for. Others treat it only as a machine, something to push until it breaks. Living treats the body as a companion, not a god, not an enemy, but an instrument through which you practice character. You sleep because you value clarity. You move because you value strength. You eat with restraint because you value freedom from impulse. None of this is about vanity, it is about agency. The next hard truth is perhaps the sharpest. You will not feel ready before you act. Readiness is not the cause of action, it is often the result of action. The Stoic approach is not to demand perfect motivation, but to practice commitment. The reversal is that discipline is not a cage, it is a door. It releases you from the tyranny of moods. A modern life example: the work you avoid, the email you are delaying because you dread the response, the application you haven't sent because it might be rejected, the creative piece you won't publish because it might be ignored. Existing calls this being realistic. Living calls it what it is, attachment to an outcome. Stoicism does not ask you to stop caring, it asks you to care wisely. Aim for excellence in what is yours, your effort, your honesty, your consistency. Let the outcome be what it will be. Outcomes are not yours, your conduct is. Another hard truth: time will not slow down to help you. You cannot negotiate with it. Every day you postpone your life, you are not preserving it. You are spending it, and you do not get a refund for comfort. The deeper reflection is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to wake you gently. One day, you will look back and realize that many of your some days were actually choices. Not evil choices, not even foolish choices, just unexamined ones. The reversal is that you do not need more time to live, you need more presence. You need to meet your life where it is, instead of living in the waiting room of your own future. So what does it look like, practically, to step from existing into living without turning your life into a theatrical project? It looks like choosing one area where you have been passive and becoming deliberate. It looks like doing one difficult thing each day that aligns with your values, not your comfort. It looks like asking, in the moment of irritation or fear, "Is this within my control?" and then acting accordingly. It looks like practicing voluntary simplicity sometimes to prove to yourself that you can be okay without constant stimulation. It looks like remembering that inner peace is not the reward for a perfect life. It is the skill of meeting an imperfect life with a steady mind. If you take nothing else, take this final hard truth and let it land without resistance. No one is coming to grant you permission to live. Not your parents, not your partner, not your audience, not your future self, not the version of you that finally feels confident. Permission is not something you receive. It is something you assume, quietly, by taking responsibility for the next choice. And here is the last reflection, the one meant to echo. A lived life is not loud. It is not always impressive. It is simply honest. It is a life in which you stop bargaining with reality, stop performing for approval, stop waiting to feel brave, and start treating each day as a place where character can be practiced. So, when you wake up tomorrow, ask yourself a question that does not require motivation, only sincerity. Will I meet this day as a witness to my life, or as the author of it?